Good afternoon, classmates and Mrs. Brennan. Today I'll be talking about David Berkowitz, a more infamously known as the 44 caliber killer or Son of Sam. We'll get into why he was called that and named himself that in a bit. So some background on the nature of the crime. On the 29th of July, 1976, two young girls coming back from a night at the club, 18-year-old Donna Laura and 19-year-old Jody Valenti, two girls who had no previous crime records. They were in Jody's car outside of Donna's house. Whilst they were leaving, a man pulled up with a brown paper bag, and at which he pulled out and fired a gun. Donna was shot in the neck and arm and died, and Jody, as a bullet struck her thigh, screamed. The man ran. You can see the crime scene, the car, and the body in front of the house. Now, who could commit such a crime? Born Richard David Falco to Joseph Kleinman, a Long Island businessman, and Betty Broader Falco, who was a waitress, was given up for adoption because his father didn't want him. Adopted by Nathan and Pearl Berkowitz, renamed David Richard Berkowitz, he was an only child. He grew up in Soundview section of the Bronx to mostly Jewish and Italian families. He was enrolled in preschool in 77 at Warden Avenue Street, Bronx. Missed 46 days of kindergarten. He begins to take a shower with his father in 1958 and went to Shore Haven Beach Club with adopted parents. His mother bathed him in the shower in the presence of other naked women. He notices power men have over women when male entered the women's side of the bathhouse. He scored 118 on his IQ test. He was very good at baseball, especially throwing the ball. Between the years of 53 and 67, he was described as big for his age and teased for his chubbiness. He was a loner and felt that different or less attractive. Described by his neighbors as assaultive to other kids. And he saw a boy die right in front of him, falling from the side of a bus. Didn't have many friends because he didn't know how to react with other children because he had no brothers or sisters. He was described as a moody child, can do good work if he wants to, but he is easily upset. His bar mitzvah in 66, there were no friends in attendance, only his mother and father. In 67, his adopted mother dies of breast cancer. David's grades begin to slip. Truant 36 days from the 10th grade and failed from most of his classes. He formed a volunteer fire department with some of his friends, which only intensified his obsession with arson. In 70, he started engaging in petty vandalism, breaking car windows, setting fires, and torturing animals. A good precursor to murder. He graduated high school with a 3.3. He was absent 12 days in his last semester. In 71, he enlisted in the Army. Passed a psychological and physical test for the Army. Tests indicate he would do very well in infantry and was a normal recruit. In the summer of 71, He was shipped to Korea. He was stationed 10 months for his service. He used marijuana, amphetamines, and LSD during his time. He was caught stealing food from the mess hall and went AWOL one night because his friends missed the bus going back to the barracks. In 1972, he had intercourse for the first time at 19 years old. It was with a prostitute, and he contracted a venereal disease. In 1974, he started fires again, responsible for starting over 1,411 fires, which he kept in a detailed journal. In 1974, he was discharged from the Army. In 1974, December, he enrolls in Bronx Community College, starts a job as a cab driver, and discovers his real name, which enraged him. He sets more fires, hired a security guard at JFK Airport, claimed to hear voices from the dog accompanied him during his shifts. In November of 1974, he wrote a letter to his adoptive father admitting to feelings of deep depression, starting hearing voices, and starts attack. He eventually shoots a German Shepherd, which will start his eventual murder of other animals, and eventually people. This is his house in Yonkers. As you can see, not too shabby. Now, who were the victims? On the left, Donna Laura. She was 18 years old, had short brunette hair, killed, shot in the neck. Jody Valenti, 19-year-old woman, short hair, blonde, survived, was shot in the hip. It was in Jody's Oldsmobile where the crime took place, dropping off Donna. Now, why were the victims chosen? As stated before, he viewed women as lesser than men, and he saw the power man had over women when they were scared. Now, he chose specifically women, young women, short hair, preferably by themselves or in a couple, and he despised couples. He did this because of his romantic ineptitude at a young age. This forced hundreds of thousands of young women in New York City to cut their hair or to grow it out so they would not be targeted. And this led to the early closings of nightclubs, bars, and other places where young people would meet. Now, this summer especially put a terror in young women because later he would commit another crime in the same style. A diagram of the crime scene. You can see on the top right an arrow pointing to Donna's house, right where the crime took place, only hundreds of feet where she could have maybe, if an hour earlier, walked home and been safe. And you can see Valenti's Oldsmobile parked right in front of the house, showing how tragic this crime was and how close it was to her house. You can see Donna's body on the ground covered by a coat with men looking over her. You can see her stuff thrown to the wayside, as more than likely she tried to run, only to be shot and fall to the ground.